Coming up tonight, Baha Mar begins staff reductions. Meanwhile, tensions ran high during a brief house sitting this afternoon. Plus, police investigating 2 murders in under 24 hours. And government plans to assist private schools impacted by COVID-19.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight. After being closed for 3 months, Baha Mar has begun the process of staff reductions. In a statement sent out this evening, the resort said it found it necessary to make the difficult decision as its 90-day period came to an end. Kyle Joaquin was at the resort today and has more.
It looked like a pretty normal day today outside of Baha Mar. A little construction activity, some cars moving in and out, not a lot of movement. However, many employees today got the call they have been dreading for several weeks now. Their position has been made redundant.
It is very unfortunate that Baha Mar has decided to make redundant the employees that they have. It is not to be expected, however.
The tourism minister calling it unfortunate that Baha Mar has made the decision to reduce its staff complement. This comes after the Nassau Guardian reported that the $4.2 billion resort was set to make 20% of its 6,000-member staff redundant. And after days of silence, the resort released a statement explaining, on June 29th, as the 90-day period ended, it was necessary for us to take the incredibly difficult step of reducing our staff across Grand Hyatt, SLS, Rosewood, Melia, Casino, and Baha Mar shared services. We are in the process of communicating directly with each of the associates affected by the decision, and we are here to help guide all impacted through the next steps. All affected associates will receive severance pay in accordance with the law. Our news received several calls from employees today who wished to remain anonymous, but informed us that they had received a call from the resort informing them that their position had been made redundant, and that further correspondence regarding severance pay will come via email. Baha Mar's statement continued, all affected associates are eligible for rehire, and we look forward to bringing back as many associates as possible once business returns to pre-COVID-19 levels. Well, the tourism minister said airlines and hotels globally have taken a hit, which means this move was expected.
So that is going to cause unemployment and job losses in the tourism sector to become a little bit more permanent, which is really unfortunate. But as you know, there's nothing we can do until the world gets on top of dealing with this coronavirus.
Some employees we spoke with today took issue with the way in which they were let go, over the phone. Diagler said while he understands their plight, he can also understand the situation the resort is in.
I presume that they felt that with the social distancing requirements in place, they felt that this was probably the best way to do it, to personally call every employee and speak to them and to let them know. I think it's a very personalized touch. I don't know the details of the phone calls and how they presented their desire to downsize. But I can understand how it's very, very troubling for employees.
Again, only construction and security workers were visible here outside Baha Mar today as the resort remains shut. Again, Baha Mar President Graham Davis insists their goal is still to reopen by October. But for now, reporting from Baha Mar for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Atlantis Resort has joined the growing list of hotels that have delayed their reopening due to the global COVID-19 pandemic. That announcement was made by Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis in Parliament. Dr. Minnis said the resort, which was expected to reopen next week, will now reopen at the end of next month.
I would have had a discussion with Atlantis just about 30 minutes ago, and Atlantis had informed me that as a result of what's happening, especially in the United States, they have decided that it would probably be best that they delay their opening until the 30th of July.
Earlier this month, Baha Mar and Melia Nassau Beach announced they were postponing their reopening dates to October 2020. Sandals Royal Bahamian has also postponed its reopening to November. Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar, who is out of the country, told Our News he understands why Atlantis is the latest hotel to make a similar decision. He said Atlantis executives feel there is too much uncertainty regarding COVID-19 restrictions and how they will impact tourists' desire to travel. Proceedings in the House of Assembly erupted in a shouting match this afternoon. The brief but heated exchange unfolded moments after Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis tabled a new proclamation of emergency. Jasmine Brown has the details in this report.
Honourable Member for Angleston. Honourable Member. Honourable Member for Angleston. Withdraw. You are ordered to withdraw from this Parliament.
It was this quick and heated exchange between opposition members and the chair that prompted House Speaker Halson Mudry to order Anglistoun MP Glenys Hannah Martin to withdraw from the halls of Parliament. Members of the opposition were up in arms after opposition leader Philip Brave Davis was not allowed to speak after Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis tabled the much-anticipated emergency proclamation. The argument erupted after Leader of Government Business in the House of Assembly Renford Wells moved to suspend House proceedings.
Honourable Member for Caroline resume your seat. No, we are at the position of laying of documents by ministers. I can't recognize you at that point.
Hannah Martin was objecting to the move to suspend proceedings before members of the opposition were allowed to speak. The House Speaker accused Hannah Martin of unparliamentary language and ordered that she be removed.
Officer, the member for Angleston is ordered to withdraw from this Parliament.
This is democracy. You have to put the police on the woman.
At the start of Tuesday's proceedings, the Prime Minister laid the proclamation of emergency from Governor General C.A. Smith. The proclamation was issued on Monday after the government failed to have passed in Parliament a resolution to extend the initial proclamation that expired at midnight. The issue, which AG Carl Bethel has called an oversight, created confusion over whether the emergency order restricting civil liberties would still stand after midnight. Minnis addressed the controversy in Parliament.
Many individuals who would have felt that the lockdown and emergency orders may not have been in place yesterday. So I want to reassure them that there was no breakdown in the continuity of the orders.
The Prime Minister also told Parliament that earlier on Tuesday, Cabinet approved the establishment of a COVID-19 enforcement unit. He again warned business owners to follow the rules designed to stop the spread of COVID-19.
I do not want to call any restaurant or nightclub names, but that particular nightclub in the East know whom I'm speaking about. And be assured, if we see that happening again, what has happened just recently, they will be dealt with properly. And the same message goes out to two restaurants in the West. I need not call their names, but they know one is east of me and one is west of me, and I live tropical.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Police launched 2 new murder investigations today. A man was shot dead off Bellot Road hours after a body was discovered in a graveyard on Boyd Road. Berthany McDermott has the details.
A shooting on Pink Meadows Avenue off Bellot Road has left one man dead. Police press liaison officer ACP Yardley Peter says officers got the call shortly after 1 p.m. today.
The information we received was that a male was fixing a vehicle when he was approached by a lone gunman who shot him.
Police can't say in which direction the suspect escaped. The victim is said to be in his early 30s. Police are appealing to members of the public to assist in solving this latest incident.
At this time, we're appealing to members of the public, in particularly this community, who may have some information as to that will be able to assist us in bringing this matter to a closure, to come forward or contact 502-991.
This latest killing comes hours after a man's body was found in a graveyard on Boyd Road. According to police, a man was walking in the St. Joseph graveyard early this morning when he discovered a man's body lying face down on the ground. Authorities believe foul play is suspected and have classified this matter as a homicide. The victim is believed to be in his early 30s. Peter says they believe the incident took place overnight.
A man was walking in the St. Joseph's graveyard when he discovered a male lying face down, lifeless, with severe injuries. The police was contacted. A short time later, officers responded and discovered a male with severe injuries to the head.
According to Our News records, this is the 35th homicide for the year. These incidents come one day after a 40-year-old man was gunned down on the porch of his home in Nassau Village. Peters said authorities are working to ensure these matters are resolved as quickly as possible.
Our success thus far has been by our response from members of the community with providing the intelligence for us in getting our suspects and bringing these matters before the court.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
A convicted fraudster couldn't avoid jail today despite pleading for mercy. It turns out it wasn't his first time before the courts this year. A 35-year-old John Doe, who goes by the names Tavares Jackson and Jackson Colebrook, was jailed today after he admitted to 8 fraud-related counts. Prosecutors say the man went on a crime spree, convincing 3 people on separate occasions to deposit checks and envelopes on his behalf at RBC ATMs. His next move would be to get the person to withdraw funds from their account and hand the cash over to him. The problem is those envelopes the unsuspecting victims were depositing were empty, and they soon got calls from the bank telling them they engaged in fraudulent transactions. Police caught up with Jackson a month after he targeted his first victim. By that time, he had already allegedly taken more than $1,600. When they found him, he gave them different names, so he appeared in court as John Doe. The man pleaded with Magistrate Sandra D. Gardner for mercy, telling her that he is an unemployed landscaper with children. He apologized and said he would pay his victims back. But the man used up all his goodwill back in February when he pleaded guilty to 4 similar fraud counts. In that case, he was ordered to pay the victims back or spend 2 months in jail. Gardner branded him a menace to society. He was sentenced to 1 year and 4 months in prison. He was urged to use his time behind bars to read books and better his life. Still to come on Our News, Breezes prepares to welcome guests, plus government to assist private schools impacted by COVID-19. Stay tuned. As the country's borders reopen tomorrow, Super Clubs Breezes is putting the finishing touches on its property, which now features a number of changes designed to keep guests, locals, and employees safe. Berthany McDermott took a tour and has this report.
It will be quite a different opening for Super Club Breezes from it first opened its doors 25 years ago. The resort spent the downtime caused by the COVID-19 pandemic making the necessary adjustments to accommodate guests tomorrow. Speaking to Our News underneath Breezes' now famous cabanister, chairman of Super Club's collection of hotels and resorts, John Issa, said reservations are currently down, but they're hopeful business will soon pick up.
We have a few people coming in tomorrow, and then it builds up as the month moves along, and we have our fingers crossed, and we're hoping, it goes smoothly.
Issa said Breezes will bring on around 20% of its staff tomorrow with the intention of increasing that number on an as-needed basis as occupancy picks up. He said they're looking forward to reopening.
We're very excited to get going again because until you start, you don't know. And the planes, 6 planes I think are coming in tomorrow. And hopefully we'll see announcements as we go along, more and more planes.
We took a tour of the facility to see the new protocols put in place, like social distancing markers and plexiglasses to ensure team members and guests are safe. Upon entering the resort, it's hard to miss the many changes. Hand sanitizer dispensers have been placed at the entrance and at different points throughout the resort. Here at the check-in desk, there is plexiglass. The same goes for the concierge and tour desks. Even the dance floor now has social distancing markers. We then ventured down to the dining promenade and piano bar where the buffet and salad bar have been scrapped. Additionally, the piano bar will remain closed for now.
We have the buffet there, but it will be waiter service from the buffet because to have people going up and dishing and whatnot, would be the complete opposite of the protocols that they tell us we should follow.
All dining tables are now 6 feet apart. It was a similar scene in the Munisan restaurant, which now features dividers between booths and will be using waiter services. Then there's the beach and pool area. Issa explained the resort will have no problem ensuring guests are socially distant.
We only have 400 rooms, in fact 390 keys when you take out suites and so on. And we have 1,000 feet of beach, which is extremely deep.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Private schools that have seen a drop in registered students and paid school fees due to the hardship caused by coronavirus pandemic will receive financial assistance from the government. Education Minister Jeff Lloyd made the announcement outside Cabinet today. Giorgio Bain reports.
The government has plans to financially assist private schools for the upcoming school year, according to Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd, who said that assistance could come in the form of a subvention or direct injection to the tune of $50 million. With many parents out of work due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Minister of Education Jeffrey Lloyd was asked about plans to facilitate more students in the public school system in the event that some parents are no longer able to send their children back to private school. Lloyd revealed that the government will assist private schools that are cash-strapped as a result of unpaid fees.
Also providing assistance for those schools that have found themselves, disadvantaged as a result of COVID-19. That means additional financial support. That support is going to take the form, I believe, of at least 2 applications. One, an immediate injection, potentially to assist those who have struggled as a result of non-payment of fees or whatever else, and they have to maintain their staff, and possible increases in subvention for those schools, again, who demonstrate that their circumstance require government's assistance.
Lloyd said the government must step in to help private schools during this crisis, especially those that are struggling to pay faculty and staff as a result of unpaid fees or a decline in registered students.
So we naturally need to have the private sector play a role, and the government needs to support it. To what form that support will take, as I indicated, could also be in terms of one-time injection as well as an increase in subvention. And that subvention this year is to total some $15 million.
Lloyd said the truth is the public school system cannot accommodate a massive increase in students.
We recognize and value and accept that the system cannot operate efficiently without the contribution of the private sector. That's a given. We do not in the Ministry of Education have the physical space to absorb 70+ thousands of students. Right now have 46, and the rest of it is in the private sector. So we naturally need to have the private sector play a role, and the government needs to support it.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
For the first time in recent memory, the country's independence celebrations will not take place on Clifford Park. Due to strict social distancing measures brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, this year's celebration will be a 4-hour virtual production beginning at 8 p.m. on July 9th. However, Independence Committee Chairman Mark Hume said the raising of the flag and ecumenical address will be live-streamed from Clifford Park.
This made-for-television Independence Special will be in keeping with that tradition and will feature a star-studded cast of young Bahamian sketch artists who are making their splash all over social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok.
We'll also have the flag raising by the color guard of the uniformed services, as well as the fireworks as usual. What will again make it unique, though, is this will all happen in the absence of a crowd.
Hume said this year the committee has decided to add an in memoriam segment to pay tribute to those who lost their lives during Hurricane Dorian and from COVID-19. He appealed to their relatives to submit photos and information on their loved ones.
And we're asking all persons who have lost a loved one to Hurricane Dorian or COVID-19 and would like to have them memorialized during our in memoriam segment to send a photograph and a biography of no more than 200 words on their loved one to nationalevents@bahamas.gov.bs.
Still to come, UB's president won't be seeking a contract renewal. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd says he was surprised by news that University of the Bahamas President Dr. Rodney Smith will not be seeking to renew his contract, which is set to expire in August 2022. On Friday, it was revealed that Smith is a finalist in West Virginia State University's search for its 12th president. UB said in a statement, it is aware that Smith has begun the process of seeking employment elsewhere and may depart before his contract ends.
Well, first of all, it's a bit of surprise to certainly me that this turn of events. The impact naturally is going to be whatever impact that we have whenever you're transitioning from one, as it were, administration to another, and or one particular individual such as a president to another. But we will respond, and the board is now exercising its requirement in terms of searching for a replacement.
Smith had no comment on the matter. Lloyd said he wishes him the best. Still to come, gyms set to reopen tomorrow. How they're preparing after this. Local gyms are set to reopen tomorrow. One owner discusses the necessary changes he made to keep clients safe. Marcellus Hall tells us more.
Well, they may be empty for now, but that certainly won't be for long. Word has come down that gyms may now once again resume business. One local gym, Empire Fitness, already ahead of the curve. They're ready for when the doors come open once again. For gym owners like Dr. Kent Bazard, the ability to reopen their doors has everyone all smiles.
We're ecstatic. It's been a challenging 3 months trying to keep open and make sure the doors are open even though there's no business coming in, keeping all the employees, helping them to maintain their financial status, supporting them while we're closed. So it was a strain and it was a push, but we got it done.
Bazard says that while there will be some changes, gyms have always maintained sanitary practices.
We've always employed sanitary practices as far as hand sanitization and towel requirements and wiping down machines. Those have always been part of how we normally operate. So we've added a few more hand sanitization stations as well as more of the cleaning stations for cleaning down equipment. We will have a limit at least for the first month for how many can work out in the gym floor or on the gym floor.
As a physician, Bazard has some somewhat unique perspectives.
I think the gym industry is something that has always had to deal with this type of subject matter. We've had to battle, streptococcus and staph infections, and of course anybody coming in with a cough and cold we have to be aware of. So we've always had to be very clean.
Now, according to Bazard, the opening could have actually come earlier.
I think we could have opened 2 phases ago, especially knowing now that being able to breathe, having a strong respiratory system is important with combating the coronavirus itself and maintaining a healthy status during the virus.
So as you heard, the tide has turned. It's time to once again get back to the business of staying fit, which, ironically, will keep you in better health. Reporting for our news, I'm Marcellus Hall.
Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. To catch our news on the go, download the RevGo Play app. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.